We're also having the Swiss TPH team presenting on CHT extension libraries. So giving the mic to Rukshan to take us through this short presentation.
Hello, good afternoon and good evening, everyone. So, yes, really excited to be here and present today. So, Anthony, can we start the slides? Thank you. So, today I'm going to show everyone that how we use the CHT extension library JavaScript to customize the appearance of the form, to make changes to the form, customize the forms that the default XLS form standard does not provide. So we use the CHT extension library to go beyond what's already offered by XLS form to customize the forms that were not possible before using the extension libraries. So the problem that we face in a real life situation is how to apply formatting to a question to make it possible. So it was a clinical algorithm. We had to prescribe a drug, and there were two options to select the two different doses. The two messages were very similar, but with only a slight difference, with only the drug dosage being the only difference between the two select options. And even though the change is small, it has a big impact for the patients because you have to prescribe the correct dose, and if you don't prescribe the correct dose for the patient, then the patient may be overdosing or maybe underdosing, and ultimately it can lead to a life-threatening event. So this was really critical. Can you go to the next slide, Anthony? So yes, these are the two options that we had to customize, or the users had to select. So as you can see, the only difference being the drug dosage for the amoxiclovulanic acid. And yes, so currently with CHT or the XLS forms, we cannot highlight or customize the select option to make it bold, select a particular text, or in more technical terms, to inject an HTML to this. It would just be plain text at the moment. So can we go to the next slide, Anthony? Thank you. So we had two options. Either we had to maybe fork CHT and do some customization to the style sheet, or inject some JavaScript to the CHT fork to make sure that this happens. But then we realized we can use the CHT extension libraries and the features that it offers us to customize the forms, because ultimately it's just even though you view the form in a tablet or in the browser, it will still be HTML, a web page. So we can dynamically use JavaScript to manipulate the document body and highlight different aspects of the form, or like I showed you, customize the two select options by injecting HTML. So we created a small CHT extension library and we named it as Hack.js, because basically what we were doing was hacking the user interface, not in a bad way, but in a good way. So the code is available for anyone to use, and I will briefly show how we did it. Next slide. Yes, so basically it's a very simple function that accepts two elements, two attributes. The first one being the
Rukshan, your voice is low.
Okay, sorry. So as you can see, this is the function where we had it accepts two parameters. The first, the XPath of the element that we want to customize, and the HTML that's going to replace. So it's a very simple function, and what it does is it looks for the XPath element or occurrence of the element if there are many, and then inject the HTML at runtime. So the users don't see it in the Excel form, but once you render it, it would replace the select option or any other element within the CHT form with the HTML that we provide. it's a very simple function, but we were able to solve our problem and to manipulate the form by using the CHT extension library. Next slide, Anthony. Thank you. So like I said, takes two parameters, the XPath of the element and the HTML, and then it replaces the XPath element's content with the HTML. So in order to obtain the XPath, if you are familiar with web development, you can get it through the developer console. You can find the element and the element XPath, and then use it in this JavaScript file. And the extension library will replace the element with HTML at runtime. And to include that, we include the extension library as you do it in all CHT forms. But I will show you in the after the slides how we did it in the Excel form. Next slide. Thank you. So the ultimate output was this, that we had the 7 to 1 and 4 to 1 and the correct drug dose highlighted. So we bolded the font. So it makes it easier for the user, the clinician or the nurse to pick the correct dose and give the correct dose to the patient. And if you compare the before and after the screenshot, this is more highlighting and the users can see easily and pick the correct dose. And this customization was only being possible because of the CHT extension libraries. Next slide, Anthony. Thank you. So what's possible? I think using CHT extension libraries, we just demonstrated a really simple example, but we believe that we can use the extension libraries to do customization beyond this, add more features, more ways to manipulate the form, like never done before by using JavaScript extension libraries. I have written a complete technical write-up at the link. You can go to the link or scan the QR code below, and then you can see how we use CHT extension libraries in detail in order to manipulate the CHT form. Next slide, Anthony. This is the last slide. Yes, I will quickly share my screen to show how we inject the extension library into the Excel form. So if you can see my screen, you can see that we use the CHT extension library. We give the name of the JavaScript file, which is hack.js, as we named it. And the first parameter is the XPath of the element that we want to customize. And then the HTML string that we want to replace it with. So here we have the HTML string with bolding of the 4 to 1 and the 120 milligram dose. So this is how we inject the JavaScript into the Excel CHT form. And this is just a simple thing that we did, but we could use it in very different ways to customize the form that we would have never been done by just simply using the Excel as form standard. So yes, this is what we did for one of our clinical algorithms. And if you have any questions, I'm more than happy to answer. Thank you, Anthony. I'll stop sharing.
All right. Thanks, Rukshan. Any question to Rukshan? Question, feel free to unmute yourself or type your question here. Thanks, Rukshan, for sharing that and also for posting that on the forum and doing some very great documentation just to make sure that community members understand how they can be able to do that. Initially, one of the community members had posted an issue on the forum in regards to a solution that you are able to come up with, and that was Kicha. Kicha, would you like just to share the issue you had and maybe the workaround, or if you have tried to use the hack that Rukshana shared.
Yes, so thank you very much, Anthony. So maybe I can explain just in a minute what the issue was about. The issue was that I wanted to have select one where I had options, like different options, and I could only select one. But then the constraint here now that in this item that you're going to choose from, it has to have a different color. So maybe I can share my screen and then see. Okay. Uh, uh, yes, can you see my screen? Yes, so we were trying to get the mark color. Mark is ideally mid-upper arm circumference. So it's one of those tests that you take for either a pregnant mother or for a child to assess whether they are malnourished or not. And then in the mark tip, you have like three, you can say call them bands, where you have red, yellow, and green. Green, it means the mother or the child is healthy. Yellow, it means you should refer them to the health facility. Then red, it means that they are malnourished. So now, you know that for colors, it's easy to get colors when you're doing knots, maybe. You see like here, for red, you can easily make a red knot, but then you cannot make a color for your choices. So as at that point in time, the workaround that we ended up having was for these colors here, we would just create knots like this, then we take a snippet and then load them as images. So you see this green, this yellow, and then this red. They have kind of a whitish background. I don't know if it's quite visible. That is because those are images, and we not use CSS to manipulate them. Yeah, so that was the problem and also the workaround we had. And I think, yes, I am quite curious about the solution that has been spoken about. I think I am going to spend some time and try it out. But I can say it looks a very cleaner solution than what we had here. This really feels more like a hack. Yeah. Thank you, Anthony.
All right, so hopeful you can try it out and share your response on the forum, and if possible,
Yes.
also guide other community members just to understand how you have been able to implement that.
Okay.
So looking forward to hearing from you. Any other question before we transition to the next presenter?
Just one small thing. We had the same problem that he had, where we had to highlight the mark red, green, and yellow. We could still use the hack.js to do that and replace the colors with the HTML formatting for colors. But then we found out a simpler solution for that. We just rather inserted the red, green, and yellow emoji before red, green, and yellow. So it worked really well. It's just such a simple thing, and we didn't have to do any manipulation. We just inserted the red, green, and yellow dot emoji in front of the select option.
All right, thanks, Rukshan. Teacher, you have so many options, so it's on you to implement those options. So if possible, please share your response as soon as possible, because I think you have so many options that you could be able to consider. Oh yeah, I will. That's fine. So let's transition, because of time, transition to the next presentation. So just to give a high level overview of what you are moving to. Moving forward, we will intentionally be working as a community in terms of groups on specific initiatives. And the reason why we'll be working with that approach is we already have some great capacity within the community. So we could work as community members in form of squads and groups just to work on a specific solution for a specific period of time. And this approach started last quarter, and we currently have 3 squads working on 3 different features. So for today, we'll be sharing more updates about CHT DHS2 squad using the OpenFN adapter. And that means we are honored to have another open source community joining our meeting just to share an update on that work. So passing over the mic to Tucci to take us through the OpenFN and the work we've been doing.
Thank you, Anton. Hi guys, I'm Tucci, based in Arusha, Tanzania. I'm part of the OpenFN team. Anton, if you could help me go to the next slide, please. Awesome. Yeah, so what is OpenFN? We are a full open source platform and it is certified as digital public good for workflow automation. Our platform is optimized to support government and NGO to achieve their SDG goals by automating the data exchange, business processes, and integrating key technologies within the ecosystem. So the reason why we started is because many government and NGO struggles with effectively delivering critical service to the communities and citizens. And it's really hard for them to scale up these initiatives because the current process that they're following are resource intensive and they're driven by manual process. So OpenFN is able to help this organization by turning the impact goals into everyday reality for the people who actually want to the people they actually want to serve. So the platform that was built is full open source, and the key area that it focuses on is making sure that the workflow automation is secure, is stable, and very scalable. Up to date, we have managed, I think this number has changed a bit, but we have managed to run about 3 million workflows per year, and we are handling more than 40 million records across 40 countries that we have integrated these OpenFN workflows. Anton, can you move to the next slide, please? So what does the platform provide? So we can integrate with any application as long as it has an API. We have a lot of connectors for REST API, but also some of the popular database. We have adapters for those one as well. The platform really helps you to automate the critical business process. So this means exchanging data between different systems, and you can orchestrate your workflow to run across your organization. It doesn't have to be specifically for one item. You can also monitor your workflow automations by looking at the audit trail. So if there are failures, or like if you want to see how successful your automation are going, we are providing that through the platform. Also, there are use cases where you need to actually handle errors. In some cases, the integration might fail. So the platform makes it really easy for you to look at the errors so that you can retry or update your logic to be able to handle those errors. And they're very easy to share. Once you write your workflow in OpenFN, you have the ability also to sync this code back to GitHub. So what we have done with the CHT Community Squad is we had a use case where we need to take the outbound submission of a form to DHS2 and create those form submission as a DHS2 event. So I can show you quickly. Anton, can I share my screen quickly?
Are you a co-host?
Thank you. Okay, so let me share my screen quickly. There we go. So basically, this is how the platform looks like. You have a dashboard that contains all your workflow. And for the demo for the CHT community squad, that we did is we will receive an incoming request from a form submission from CHT, and we will do some sort of transformation, and then we'll create a DHIS2 event. And the way that is set up is very simple. We have a webhook trigger here. This URL is the one that is configured on the CHT outbound configurations, so that whenever there's submission, they will send the data to this URL. And then the workflow will do some sort of transformation so that we can have a DHIS2 data model for creating events. And let me expand a bit. And basically what we are doing here is mapping the data elements on the DHIS2 side with the incoming request from CHT. And this is how the submissions look like, so where you can find all the data that have been filled from the CHT form. And then once we map that, we create an event to DHIS2, which is really easy. Just one functioning, using the mapping that we have done. Yeah, that's pretty much it. I can quickly run this, but I think the DHIS2 instance has been refreshed, so I don't think it will pass. But in a nutshell, that's what we have been able to do so far. Thank you, Anton. I welcome questions.
All right, thanks, Twitchy. I think the community might be interested in documentation, so you can take a few seconds just to share on that.
Yes, we build these connectors for different systems that we integrate to. So for example, for DHIS2, we have the documentation for each of the helper function that we are using. So you can find those documentation if you are in this editor view. You can find them at the bottom on like whichever functions we're using. But also we have all the documentation in docs.openfn.org. I'll share all the links on the chat. And this website contains all the connectors that we have built for the existing adapters that we have. Everything is open source, including the connectors. So even if you go to our OpenFN GitHub repo, you should be able to contribute adding a new adapter or improving an existing adapter. Yeah.
All right. Thanks,
this is how the
Twitchy.
documentation looks like.
All right.
Thank you, Anton.
All right. Thanks. Because of time, I've seen Jack is around, so you can just wave to the community. He is also from the OpenFN team. I'm sure there are other guys from the OpenFN, but likely in the next 2 weeks, 2 months, we would give you an opportunity just to demo what you have been able to do so that the community can understand better. Thanks a lot for that. We can go to the last part, which is announcements. And Josh, you can take us through the first part.
Yeah, thanks, Anthony. Hey, everybody. Josh Kuster-Steffen here. Super excited to announce the CHT Dev Hour. So for everybody out there who's involved in deploying or configuring or developing software within the CHT ecosystem, all the technical folks, this is for you. We're putting together just an opportunity to kind of bring people together and connect on technical questions, issues, that kind of thing. Being able to do that live instead of just always being out on the forum. I'm really looking forward to being able to spend time together, work through some problems, be able to just chat a little bit. But this is going to be kind of a recurring event here that's happening 2 weeks from now, the same time slot as this meeting. So like I said, if you're technical or if you're interested in technical stuff, fill up your cup of coffee, come join us. It's going to be a good time. I just dropped a link to the forum post out in the chat, so see that for more details. Thank you.
All right, thanks. and looking forward to seeing more technical guys joining that meeting. Phil, would you take a few seconds just to update us on community meetup and the next roundup?
Yeah, hi everyone. I'm Phil Mogo within the CHT community team. Yeah, so we had our inaugural community meetup a couple of days ago. That was on Tuesday, and we'll be having our next one in the next 2 weeks. It will be similar to what Josh talked about in terms of being repetitive. We also have this for the community. So basically what we are trying to do is just shape up the community together, come up with governance structures for the CHT community, or just the CHT, the technical stuff, just what we'd like to see moving forward. So just opening up for everyone. So that's it. The other one is that we have our next roundup on March, on 12th of March. That's the second Thursday of March, and you are welcome. And yeah, we'll share the recording and the notes on the forum. That's it from me.